Form 1 is fishing. What is the most popular form of communication whilst in a cell? I would say personally, fishing. Obviously, you can yell out through the top of your cell, you can talk through the back of your window, but what's wrong with that? If you're trying to communicate where no one else can actually understand what you're talking about, what you're communicating on, what you're sending, what you're receiving, you don't want to send it out to the jar so they can hear. So fishing and sending your form of communication through the line is the best way. Now, I hear you ask me, does it ever get intercepted? No, it never gets intercepted, because you would always see the cell that it gets pulled into, and there will be a drama over that. Have they been intercepted? I'm sure people have done it in the past. 100% positive people have intercepted somebody else's line. Have they intercepted mine? Never. But I'm pretty sure it would happen, right? Now, how do they retrieve your line once you put the line out there? Exactly the same way you've sent your line out, they will replicate your movement in that cell. They will make their line, they will choose their weighted part, and your line and their line must cross, right? Now, in this process, you'll send your line out, they'll send their line out. Not every time do you get a perfect shot and you get caught straight up. That's not how it works. Sometimes you'll hear a line, you'll be laying down watching The Price is Right or the 5 o'clock news on Channel 10, or you'll be watching something like Bewitched or whatever comes on at 4:30, 5 o'clock. You'll be laying there and you can watch that whole show straight, followed by MASH, straight into the Channel 9 news, and these people are still fishing. It's not as quick as you think. Sometimes it's done like that. It's done, yeah, got it, bang, pulled in, everything's done. But sometimes it can take an hour plus, especially if you have a partner that isn't well versed in fishing and you have to get it as close as you can to them, and that's the less work they have to do. The process of catching your line is, I will send my line out, you will send your line out, right? I would usually let them send their line out first, because I believe my skill as a fisherman was above the par and above the actual normal, and I believe I held a bit of skill in the fishing life, right? So I'd usually get them to send their line out first. I'd have a look to where it is, and then I'd send mine straight across it. Now, in this process, as I pull my line back, I'll yell out to them to slowly pull theirs back, and I'll be watching from under the door, or I'll look at the top first, out myself if I could. Usually I'm laying on my chest, looking under my door at both lines. As I'm pulling my line back, I'll guide him to pull his back. When my line and his line are just about to hit where they're both connected and they're weighted, I would pull it, and my line will actually get hold of his. I'll pull his line in. Now I hear you ask, what do you do when you have their line? So what I do is I take the weight off my part, right? Tie my line onto their line, and then say, it's good, bruh, pull it. They would now pull their line all the way back to their cell, retrieve whatever it is they have to retrieve off that, vice versa, or I'll retrieve what I have to retrieve. If they need to reply there and then, the line will stay out. Obviously, we're trying to do it before pills come, before head check, before door check, and before any security check, so they don't see a line out there. Because officers have come past, when you're fishing, they'll just pull the line, rip it, and throw it, and then you will be charged for the damage of that blanket. You will be charged $14 to $28 for a damage of a blanket. Like, crazy, yeah? And the blanket's still usable, but they would charge you for the damage of that blanket. So they pull your line in, they either reply or put whatever you're waiting on that line for you. Now, usually, if you're pulling something back, they will always leave their line attached, just in case it gets stuck, just in case someone tries to grab it, which doesn't very rarely happen. But what they will do is they would attach your line. If they take their line off to leave weight on there so you can pull it back real quick so no one can grab it and the screws can't grab it, they would put your line through the top of a big satchel bag. Now, at the clinic, every day when you go and get pills, you get a satchel bag. And it's a decent size. So that satchel bag on a very thin line with a piece of paper in it, tobacco, UGG trays, letter, whatever it is in that satchel bag, as you're pulling it in, it's got some weight so it can actually move quick back to your cell. So they'll get a pen, they'll pierce the top of your satchel bag, pull your line through, tie it off in a knot, double knot it usually just to make sure that it's not going to come off as he pushes it under the door, or it's not going to come off as it comes under your door and gets stuck, because you have to understand sometimes we're fishing through a gap this big. See that there? We're fishing through a gap this big. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example, right? Look at me go. Look at me go. So picture this. I'm in a prison cell right now. Oi, ballsy. Ballsy. Right? Ballsy, can you hear me, bro? Ballsy answers, right? I'm about to send that line, Ballsy. You right, China? Not? Yeah. Ballsy now says send it, right? So I've got to give myself enough space. I've got my line. I don't want it to be tangled, right? Yeah. I don't want it to be tangled so when it hits the bottom of that door, it doesn't wrap up and I've got to pull it out. So I kind of get up a bit, right? He's over there. I go 1, 2, bang. I've got the other part of the line here. Usually the line will go under the door and slide straight across to his, and then I just hold it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, have you got it? Yes. And then that process that we just explained and I just talked about will take place. That is fishing in jail for you, Chad, right? That is the art of fishing. Fishing style number 1, all right? And like I said, that process can take hours, right? When Silverwater first opened, MRRC, if you've been to MRRC, you know now your windows are meshed at the back. But when they first opened, they only ran a bar across the back, right? So fishing used to be done out the back window. We used to do the same thing. We used to like kind of roll toilet paper up so it could be caught by the air, a bit of sheet, whatever it took, and just let the wind take it, and hopefully that will just keep feeding it as it went further to where you wanted it to go. And obviously this style of fishing took a way longer because you didn't get to dictate where it went. You had to catch that right bit of wind and hopefully that it went along the wall. Another form of fishing, and this is a spin out, and I know it's a little bit cruel, but like, listen, there's one thing about prisoners. They're very, very ingenious, and is it ingenuitive? Anyways, we know what I'm talking about, chat, right? Ingenuitive? I haven't even got the comments on, so no one can correct me right now. But I feel like that sounds like a word. But I know they're very, they're geniuses when it comes to forming a way of communicating, right? I've seen this first at Goulburn. This is the first time I've seen this form of communication at Goulburn. And it's a cockroach. I know it's a dirty, rotten cockroach, but what happened was my mate Johnny Weston, who I was two out with, he caught a cockroach. He broke one side of its legs off. So it could only walk on one side and lean. So as it done that, it stayed against the wall and went straight under old mate's cell. And he had a little bit of dental floss tied around the body of it. The cockroach was a big size. So when he snapped the legs on the cockroach, say on the right side, it leant on the right side, stayed on the right side and walked along the wall and automatically went under the door. What a blowout. When I first seen that occur, I was amazed in how someone would come up with that sort of fishing technique, right? I was amazed on how he would think, or someone would show him, or someone would say, listen, we can get a cockroach to take this next door. All we need to do is break its legs on the one side that we need it to walk on, and that will do the rest. Like, is that, like, that's insane to have somebody's memory go to that place to think, I need to get something off this bloke right now, and I have no other way to do it other than that cockroach that's over there. I'm going to get that cockroach, I'm going to snap his legs, and I'm going to tie a little bit of dental floss to it, and I'm going to get that off him next door. And again, you do not have to use a blanket for your line. Dental floss, sheet, like there's other materials that you can use in your cell. Thinner, the best. Dental floss is A grade. Listen, dental floss is A grade, right? It's sturdy, it's thin, it won't really snap easy. Cloth from your blanket, that thread, perfect. Again, if you double it up. Sheet, not so much because it's too thick. If it's on carpet, if it's on vinyl, but it's too thick, it will get held up. So yeah, there's one form of fishing in two different ways. Really three different ways, because you can go out the back window. Again, at Silverwater, when the bars were not on the back window, when the mesh wasn't on the back window and there was just bars, you used to put your hand out and hold a broomstick, and the next bloke could grab it and go forth all the way down to wherever you need to go, right? That was a bit of an issue because you had to let go, and it had to go through 6 hands before it got back to you. So you needed to trust them 5 cells in the middle, because obviously as soon as he says it's on its way back, you're counting the seconds, because you know what you're waiting on. And if it's held up anywhere for 30 seconds, you're like, yo, bro, what the fuck's going on? Of course, jail's full of snakes sometimes. Some people will take your parcel, take something out of it, send it up, and then there's an issue because old mate's going to say he sent this much. Old mate's going to say, I never fucking touched it. So you need to trust who's in between you and your catch, if you get what I mean. Now, how do you communicate when you're in Segra? I'm actually scared to put this here, because I think it might freeze again, right? How do you communicate when you're in Segra? Now, this form of communication sounds nasty. This form of communication, like, is really the only form of communication, because in Segro, you have, so the Supermax, for example, you have 2 doors. There's no way you're getting a line out that door. Now, the new way forward jails, especially in Segro, especially in Supermax, especially in STG, the doors go straight to the ground, and on the outside, there's a lip, like a little grey lip. So you can't slide anything out that door, because so instead of having the lip on the inside of the door where it would be a little door stopper thing, it's on the outside of the door. And when you shut that door, it kind of just flushes up against it, so you can't get a line out. So that's taking fishing out of that part of the jail. You're left to your own devices again. How do I communicate with my neighbour? How do I get something to my neighbour when my Segro window is full perspex? Full perspex. All I have in there is a vent that I use with a runner that opens and shuts my vent. My door is shut straight to the ground. How do I get a message to him, or how do I pass something to him if I can't actually send a line? It's called the Brasco, right? Yes, we're going to the Brasco. What are we doing with the Brasco? First of all, we're draining the Brasco out with our toilet brush, so there's no water left. Your other person that you're trying to communicate with, or the other person that you're trying to pass something to, needs to do the same. Now, this usually works best when you're on top of each other, but you can talk probably 2 cells down, easy. I've spoke to John Killick through the toilet. I was on top of John Killick. I spoke to John Killick. Ivan Milat was like a cell or 2 down to my right when I'm facing my back of my cell. So where I'm facing my toilet, which is at the back of my cell, he's on my right. If I stood up and faced my front door, he was to my left. But when I'm over the toilet bowl, he was to my right, 2 cells down, and I can communicate with Ivan Milat through the toilet. I could communicate with Django Hara, Philip Jarrett, all the boys that were 2, probably 3 cells away, you know? It works best with like 4 cells together because they've got the one water system. Do you know what I mean? They had the one water system. So the process, Brasco, bang on the floor. Oi, Dylan, thank you for the gift. You bang on the floor, you get the attention of the person that you need to communicate with, right? He bangs back saying, listen, I've got you. What is it? Drain your toilet out, bruh. Sweet. Bang, you drain the toilet out. You now tell him, oi, listen, I'm going to send you something down. I need you to pass this on. Yeah, done, not a problem. Again, you got to make a line up. Now, this time, you don't want to use the thread, because the pressure of the water, the pressure of the pipes, and the pull of the water and the pull of what he needs to do, the thread out of the blanket ain't strong enough. So you now need to go to a sheet and cut strips off your sheet as probably thick as your finger. You don't need them yay big, but you need to cut them as thick as your finger, as your pinky finger. Perfect size, right? Again, you need to make sure you always have enough rope. You never want to get caught having not enough rope. It's happened to me plenty of times. Not so much in the toilet, but under the door where he's pulled it. And I said, have you got it yet? And he said, no, I haven't. I've said, wait there. And I've had to actually put it on a shoe so he couldn't pull it under the door, like tied around my shoelace so he couldn't pull the line under the door, rip out some more thread, tie it on so he could take it, because I'd got the measurements of how far I needed to go wrong, right? So you always try to make it longer than you need to, just for practical purposes, right? So you cut the sheet, right? Now what happens is you throw, again, with a weight on your rope or on your sheet or on your fishing line, you put a bit of weight on it, right? You put the whole line into the toilet. There's no water in it. He puts his line in a toilet as well. So you're upstairs, he's downstairs. You've both got a line. You both put them in a toilet, all right? You count to 3 and say, listen, when I say 1, 2, on 3, flush it, right? So the bloke that you're now flushing your line to, what he does is, as soon as he flushes and you flush, he's got to pull, because they're going to get tangled up in the propulsion of the water. And as the water drops down through the S-bend and through the pipes, his water's going to go up with his line. My water's going to go down taking my line. They're going to get tangled. But as they get tangled, he needs to pull it. Do you know what I mean? Why the water's flushing, so it's not stiff and heavy water, so the water's broken and you can move through the water, right? What happens then? Once he does that, you must drain it out again, and he drains it out again. I drain my toilet out. He drains his toilet out. I then say, oi, ballsy, did you get it? I'm going to test now. He now pulls on it, and he keeps pulling his line until I say, yeah, you got mine. Now we know we're connected. We know now we are connected. My line and his line have formed a relationship together. They're now attached, right? These two lines have met somewhere on their journey and they've become attached to each other. They've now formed a relationship that is actually critical to mine and his relationship, right? Yeah, we're four-wheeling here, right? Right? So now, what do I want to pass to Ballsy? Ballsy wants crunchies. Ballsy wants, like, I don't know, marijuana. Ballsy wants food. Ballsy wants whatever. I know this sounds chat, but this has been done many a times in Supermax, in the HSU and other said grows, right? So what happens is, say for instance, argument's sake, he wants food, right? I get a bag, right? I break his noodles up. I leave them in the noodle packet. I break them up. I put them in the plastic bag. I then put that plastic bag in another plastic bag. I take all the air out of it so it's like a little bit of a ball, right? So they're in 2 plastic bags. I now grab the line and I tie the bag to the middle of our lines, like to where they're both attached. I pull them up, right? I tie that bag to the middle of our lines. Yeah, you've got that? And I make sure it's tight. Even if I have to use another thread from my sheet, yeah? I'll wrap it around the top of the bag and I will tie it on, right? And I make sure that it's tight. It's going to go through some pressure, yeah? Oi, double tap and repost. Let's O's. We've got 200 in the chat. Like, let's do this. Let's see if we can get 300. What do you reckon? I haven't got a flare, otherwise I'd use a flare. Anyways, right. So the oi, Dino bros, thank you very much. Anyways, Mookie, no way with the roses. So anyways, thank you for all the gifts. Listen, there's oi Kai, how are we? Thank you. Listen, oi chat. There is one. Oh, I got to pin it. Sorry, I haven't pinned it. Listen, here we go. I'm pinning this. Who can drop that, chat? I've never ever achieved a life goal before. I'm just thinking maybe someone can drop that. Oi, OG, no comment. S-Shay, brother, thank you for coming through. That's a 7,999 coin. Yeah, if that is dropped, I'll do a backflip. I swear to do a backflip. So now I go and I drain the toilet out. We are now communicating, right? Double tap, repost, let's Oj. Yellows and blue circles, let's Oj. Let's double tap, keep running up, keep running up. Oi, Ethan Shepherd, thank you very much for the tiny dinies. So now the same, oi, OG, thank you, bro. So now the same process will occur. Do you understand what that process was at first? Count to 3. Drain your toilet out first. Count to 3. On 3, ballsy. Flush your toilet, lad. Eat swat. 1, 2. Oi, S-Shay, Kaylin, thank you very much. Bang. Oi, thank you for all the gifts. As we're flushing, he's pulling, and I'm feeding. So he's pulling, I'm feeding, right? The toilet stopped flushing. We now drain it out. Oi, Francis Dog, thank you very much. We now drain the toilet back out. The same process will repeat, right? The same process is going to repeat itself. He now has to pull. I can feel my line going, right? I'm like, yo, bro, you got it, you got it, you got it. You keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. He now keeps going. Bang. What happens? The parcel comes through. Clean as, bro, as clean as you get it off a buyer. No water, nothing in it. Airtight, fresh, noodles ready to be eaten, right? Oh. Wait, what the actual? Sounds bad, eh? But listen, stay with me, right? Bang, jugs on, noodles are out of the bowl, out of the packet, straight into the bowl, haven't eaten for 2 days because you've been locked in, and Ballsy's munching miggerings like crazy right now. I'm still over the toilet. Oi, OG with the confetti. I'm over the toilet now using this form of mail as another form of communication. This is called the jail telephone. Yes, the jail telephone. This is why you always need to clean your toilet in jail, not just for hygienic reasons. You will end up with your head in a toilet one day if you go to prison. You will end up with your head in a toilet one day if you're in Segro and you want to talk to somebody. So, golden rule, clean that toilet like it's going to be your best friend. Fact. Now, no one talks about this on this platform. They're all gang wars. They're all like jail stories. I've done it. I do it. I'll continue to do it. But I'm going to start to pivot and branch off and give you ways inmates communicate. I'm never going to give you ways inmates get bupe out. I'm never going to give you ways inmates smuggle stuff. I'm never going to give you anything like that. That is a risk of the boys getting locked in and searched because someone's seen it on here and they think we're going to go and check all this out. I'll never give that sort of right out. But like the communication style, everybody knows it. It's been going on forever. You know what I mean? Everyone knows Oosh are a form of upgrade trafficking anyway, but still there's heaps of other ways that I won't. But I will give you a mad story about when we got pinched with one of the biggest attempted trafficking from jail to jail and jail when I was at Windsor Kitchen, and how a big parcel got pinched that made the news, and how we all got tipped over it because they thought we were the centre of New South Wales kitchens, which we were, and it used to get put in Oodfay and get sent out to other jails, and everyone got pinched for that, right? And that's all on Google, all been on the news. So that's something that I may be able to talk about in the future. But yeah, like other than that, I'm going to start to. So yeah, now your phone is your toilet, right? I can talk to Ballsy all night, like, and I can hear him like he's my cellmate. Like, what are you doing, lad? I'm watching TV. Oi, listen, did you do this? Yeah, I did this. Can you make this phone call for me? Yeah, what's the number? I'll get her to ring now. Oi, what did she say? She said, listen, she's on her way to visit you. She loves you. Yeah, eat swap, bro. Listen, tell her I'll give her a call tomorrow. I'm off phones for 3 months or whatever. You can communicate like you would on a normal phone. How do you hang the phone up, you ask me? Great question, chat. How do you hang a phone up in jail? When you finish talking to the fucking Brasco, you flush it. That's your hang up button. Like, wait, listen, Ballsy, I gotta go, bro. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll give you a call in the morning. Yeah, eat swell, lad. I'll be here. All right, lad, love ya. That's it. That form of communication is now done. But that form of communication is one of the biggest forms of segro communication that you'll ever use. There is no other real form of communication other than, like, if a sweeper comes out, you pass him a letter. 9 times out of 10, a sweeper don't want to pass anything because he's walking around with a screw. In Supermax, sweepers don't get out. It's officers that give you your meal. So you don't have that luxury of saying, oh, hey, can you give that to Ballsy, or can you give that to Eve, or can you give that to Jason S, or can you give that to, you know, like whoever you're asking for at the time? Can you throw that to Fox? Can you do this? Like, you don't have that luxury. So you need to find how you can get that to your mate without involving too many people. So the toilet is always one of the best. Fishing is always the go-to, 100% the go-to. And if you've never done it before, you're going to learn very, very quickly. There's another form of communication, right? And that's obviously by mail. Now, we all know mail is like Intel. It all reads like, now the new way forward, people like Intel photocopy your mail and then they'll give it to you. So when you write a letter, you need to be a little bit ingenious, right, with how you communicate. If you can't get it to somebody on a truck that's going there to that jail, if you can't give them a letter to say, oh, listen, where you going, Woodford? Where Ballsy's up there. Can you get that to Ballsy for me, please? Tell him Carrie sends his love.